So I'm ready now to glue the bottom block. I've cut it to size, slightly oversized because I'll sort that when the ribs are on. But there's something I've got to do before I can actually glue it. Because it's end grain, it will soak up a lot of glue. So I need to glue size it. Now this just means getting your glue very thin and letting it soak into the wood, and I'll do it a couple of times. So I'll let it soak in, let it dry, let it soak in, let it dry, because that puts a lot of glue into the end of the grain here. If I don't do that, what could happen when I try to stick it to the front is that the glue won't be a strong enough bond and the block could come out. So the glue I'm going to use is this. It's a dried hide glue, and it's what we use in all violin making repairs and restoration. It's the strongest glue, but the good thing about it is that you can take it apart because it will shatter under pressure, and it will also come apart with water, which is why the violin fell apart in the first place, I suspect. So what I've done in my glue pot, which is warm at the moment, I've got very, very thin glue here, and I'm just going to water it down a little bit more with the water that's hot in the warmer there, and then I'm just going to paint it on. Now, I'll do both ends while I'm at it because eventually the other side of the block is going to be stuck to the back. So I'm just going to paint it on, and that's it for now. Got to let it dry, then I'll do that again, and then I'll be ready to glue the bottom block. I've just moved benches so that I'm going to have more space for actually gluing the bottom block into position. So I have let all the glue size dry. I've also just shaped the face of the block here so that when the ribs fit on it, it's slightly curved and it fits perfectly onto the block, because that's the whole point of the block. We want it to fit the ribs and be a really good bond between the two. So it's all ready for gluing. To mark it in position, I've done nothing more technical than get the saddle, which fell off surprisingly, and I've put it in position there, and I have just spent some time making sure the bottom block is where I want it to be, and I have just drawn onto the front here where I want it glued. So all I need to do now is glue it into position. I've cooked up some new glue here, which is my hot pot, and that's nice. So I'm just going to make sure everything's ready. I'll just move those ribs out of the way. I've got 2 clamps that I'm going to use, and some cork and some plastic, just to make sure nothing sticks to the violin and nothing damages the varnish. So to start with, I'll put a bit of plastic under the front and a little bit of cork. I'll put the bigger bit under the front because I do want to make sure the front stays nice. So that's what we're going to clamp onto. And then I'll have a little bit of cork for the top of the block. So we're pretty much ready. You might have noticed there are a couple of cracks just in the front here. I'm not going to deal with them now. Gluing the bottom block onto this part of this crack is going to stabilise it anyway. I'll deal with them further down the line. So, gluing. I'm going to put glue onto the front, onto the block, clamp it, and that should be us done. Just going to clean up any excess glue. I can just use the other rib to double check that it's in the right place, I think. It looks good to me, and that's the bottom block glued into position.